Well, I've decided that I'm going to do a chat long, as I've now got some space. So, welcome to the United Devil channel with me, JB. Let me know if you guys can hear me. So I'm going to read out your chats. Thought you were boyfriend. Get back on grinder, says Sir Jackie. Well, Sir Jackie, I will be giving away another 3 shirts if and when we get to 40,000. Look, you can have any shirt you like. Doesn't have to be a United shirt, Sir Jackie. So look, this is the United Devil channel with me, JB. I hope you're all doing extremely well. Now, first thing to say is there's a bit of a weird one today. I'm up in that London today, and Bobby says hello. Let me know if you guys can hear me. So let's get into it today. So the first thing to say is get into this amazing community. I'm very, very lucky to have you guys on this community. Be respectful. Hopefully that should be better. I think I'm back. I do think I'm back now. Honestly, trying to do this is a nightmare. Hopefully you can hear me back. Should be back now. Should be back. Hey, there you go. I am back in the house as it was. Yeah. So Scott, just to let you know, buddy, the shirts are here. I've just now got to send them off. Yeah, I will send them all off. So yeah, look, Jesus, yeah. So today, lots of things going on. Get the hamster to run faster, says Simon. Hilarious. So look, the Zerbi, Tuchel's been mentioned today. The Greenwood thing is coming up as well. So get in. You can get one. When we get to Jack slow. Look, you oh, you guys make me making me laugh. So De Zerbi, does anybody want De Zerbi as coach? I don't think that I do. But would De Zerbi? How long did you spend making that picture? Probably about, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes. Trying to do it on a phone is a massive pain in the arse. I just have to say that. But, you know, I'm up in that London. Oh, God. I've rubbed one out till worse, says Sue Jackie. Jesus. Well, it is, Simon. You know, look, Arsenal, let's get on to the Arsenal game. Arsenal beat Inter Milan away. Arsenal, Inter Milan are currently top of Serie A. Do you think it bodes well? I don't know. I really don't know. Wilfred Ndidi needs a job. He's a quality manager. So he's Amorim. Would you rehire Amorim? I'd be okay with give De Zerbi a chance. I'm not sure. You know, I think Tuchel would be better in my opinion. I think he's a winner. Maybe not the most glamorous of choices, but my only problem with it, they played well last night. I hope they're tied. The Archangel Gabriel got 2 goals, so he could be a threat. I think it's gonna be a different proposition, the Arsenal game. I think it's going to be an absolute different game. Just in terms of, you know, I think we're going to play the same team. I think we're going to play the same way. I think Arsenal going to have a definitely better back four than us. So Jackie says, look at his record at Celtic: 6 losses, 2 wins, and loses a cup final to Paris Saint-Mirren. It could be worse. All in 33 days at Set Piece FC. We've got to watch out for that. Hey, Jesus is back as well. You know, 2 goals. Gyökeres scored a good goal. Well, City. You know, City as well. City getting absolutely smashed up. What a shame there's no injuries. Exactly. It's just, I don't know. Gyökeres scored 2. He did it. Gyökeres scored a great goal. Now, the Bodo Glimt game. Now, I've gone back. I've watched that game. City were absolutely dog shit in that game. I genuinely can't believe how bad City were. I can't remember his name in that game, but the Bodo Glimt guy that scored the 3rd goal. I mean, what a goal that was. I mean, I'd be like, sign him up. What a fantastic player. I thought City got their arses handed to them. Is this Arsenal's league? You know, the City result was mad. They'll be looking for a manager soon. I think Pep has lost his shine. I think Pep wants to. City were beat by Frodo. They have Salford in the FA Cup. I will laugh a week if City lose. If they lose to Salford, do you think Pep walks? Someone said that if Pep is going this week, is it true? And having you seen the rumours on a full Glazer sale? So look, let's talk about the Glazers. Keep the coach who just beat Pep United. Africa will never unite. What do I think about the Glazer sale? Now, we've spoken about this before. The Glazer sale. I think people look for positives in the negatives. You know, I've always said this, is that the Glazers will either find investment. You know, look, this project sale, this is it's one of those things where I don't think you're going to hear. You're not going to hear about sale until it basically happens, because this is going to be a sale that is basically going to be. It's going to be a proper sale. It's going to be a proper sale. Someone says Pep is well and truly popped. The Zerbi football is so attacking. I'm not sure it will suit United. Well, you say that. I think it would. United need to be an attacking side, a counter-attacking side. But as I've always said on here, is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who we get if we're not going to get rid of these players. We've got Luke Shaw, and again, you've got a Dalot, you've got Luke Shaw, you've still got Maguire, and Maguire. As much as I really, really like Maguire, right? I think his comeback story is not that great, but do cash converters sell football players? I wonder if you could exchange them for when the sale is done. It will be big news on Sky Sports. Yes, it will. But look, this is my view on the sale. Get rid of the owners, you mean? 100% is this. I think there are two ways out of this. Number one, the Glazers want and INEOS want investors. We're talking about the Saudi consortium. The Saudi consortium could either be investing in this club, as we says. Sky says, "What's up, homies?" The Glazers want investment. Ultimately, the Glazers want investment. What they want is they want somebody to come in, possibly pay off the debt, pay for the stadium. If Saudi came in as a consortium, paid off the debt, paid off, £1.2 million, paid for stadium, an investment of £3 billion. Now, people would say, why would they come in and pay for the debt? Well, that debt, they will make that back. As a way to buy into United, they could pay off that debt, that £3 billion in 10 years once everything's built. It's going to be worth £6 billion. Imagine once the stadium is built, you've got all of the houses, the apartment bill, you've got the restructure of the land, you've got the shops that are being built, you've got the stadium. They wouldn't mind being paid off over 5 to 10 years. And the Glazers, it will be worth, they paid nothing for the club. The club is valued at 2. They'll be worth probably anywhere 6 to 8. Sir Jim will probably make money on that as well, which he actually absolutely will. Sir Jim, he's one of these. His net worth is £20 billion, right? But he's one of these guys he's not cash rich. Sir Jim cannot buy the club. Sir Jim will not buy the club. I've done a video on it as well. Any way that he would want to buy the club, he would literally have to leverage the debt. And where's he going to leverage the debt? The only place that he can leverage the debt is back onto the club. INEOS are crumbling, £16 billion debt. There's a rating system. The rating system that they use for the liquidity of a company and the value and that sort of stuff, their rating is a B, which means that they're fucked. They can't actually spend money. They are austerity FC as well, and he can't leverage it against INEOS. He would have to, let's just say he'd buy the club because the Glazers are going to want at least 8. He'd have to liquidate, get rid of half of his fortune, which he won't do. He's never going to pay for it in cash. He would need to leverage the debt, and the only place that he could do it would be the club. So you could end up, let's just say he pays, I don't know, 3 billion towards the club. He's then going to have to put 3 or 4 billion somewhere, and it's going to go against the club. So Sir Jim is not going to buy the club. Then you've then got Saudis. The Saudis, as I say, could invest in the club, invest in the debt and get paid back over 10 years. They wouldn't care. So you could have that triple threat of Saudi consortium, Sir Jim, the Glazers. However, you could have a sale. The one thing I've always said, I think, as Scott on here has said as well, this all hinges on whether or not Freightline can get away with not selling that land to the Glazers. And at the moment, apparently there is a deal put in place. I don't know how true that is. If they can't get that, then I think that they'll sell. I've seen that as well in the MEN as well. As I've always said, this Sir Jim has. This is the bit that I don't get with us fans. Maybe it's been missed. I don't know. But Sir Jim said that if he gets a load of stick, he will leave the club. He will leave the club, and if he takes a load of stick, because he said, if he gets abuse and he gets stick, he's basically not going to stay at the club anymore. Well, I'm not saying let's give Sir Jim abuse on the basis that that is anything bad, but if we make our feelings known as a fan base, as to actually we don't, he's told us, Sir Jim has told us how we get him out. Let's do it, So I think the protests are still happening on February the 1st. Just to let you guys know that I'm going to be up there for that. I'm going to cover that. So I'm going to go up there and I'm going to do a show from up there as well. So I will be doing a show on the protests. Maybe not. Maybe I'll walk with them, but I'm going to do some filming up there as well. And I'll do some filming outside of the ground. Tuchel talks, yes, Simon. I've seen all that as well. Thomas Tuchel, does he self-assess whether he deserves the abuse or not? He is so out of touch. At the end of the day, if I get abuse from the fan base, then I'm going to have to leave. I couldn't possibly get all of the abuse. This Champers, it won't be Champers anymore. It'll be a disaster. I've already told them my Achilles heel, Champers. I'm going Nicky Butt, Achilles, managed the backwards hairline. Scholesy, not to go into Scholesy and Nicky Butt too much. It is, those two pair of plonkers. What they said this week, Henderson says that's snowflake shit. To be fair, Henderson, I think it's snowflake on the both sides. To be fair, I think Nicky Butt, Paul Scholes, Martinez. When's the protest happening? I'll come. The protests are February the 1st, so it's the Fulham game. So the Fulham game, February the 1st. I'll be driving up there on the day. I'm going to get up there early, and then I'll be in Manchester on the Monday as well. So I will do another show from outside Old Trafford as well. Even Rangers are playing out respect for Sir Alex Ferguson. So protests will be before the Fulham game, and I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is. I doubt there'll be channels up there who will be covering this. They will be in the safety of their bedrooms. Like I say on here, I fully support the protests. I want the Glazers and the INEOS out. I think they're absolute scumbags. And I am prepared. I am prepared to put the channel up there as well. And it's not for clicks. It is because I believe this is important. And as I've always said before, the moment that they do this, I will be there. I'll be there, Jackie. I was going to say something, Jackie. Well, the reason why I'm laughing is obviously because, Sir Jackie, I've booked a hotel room, and Sir Jackie, tongues will wag. So no, I'll be up there. Simon says I'll be there in spirit, so to speak. Well, I'm going to be there, so I'm going to do a show from up there, so you can all be there live on stream. I'll be doing it just before the game. I'll cover the protests itself. Hopefully, it's the one thing that I am hoping is going to be a protest that is respectful. I know people are pissed off with it. But it needs to be a peaceful yet assertive protest. And why some Scottish guy here in a Rangers top? Well, I just think the numbers, I just really hope that they can get the numbers. I think that how we do this is it's a numbers game. The more Glazer out, the more people there. You can get a game called off. I won't be there because we need a pitch invasion and not a protest. I don't disagree. I think we do need a pitch invasion. I'm all for protest. I think what could happen is you could invade the pitch, but everybody just sits down. No ripping out seats, no kicking up the turf to get banned from the stadium. There probably will be a pitch invasion. Let's see. Let's see what happens. I doubt it. Someone says when we play Arsenal and a goal is disallowed, I wonder if they throw their rattle out the pram and storm off. I tell you one thing that I did see. So United, I don't know if you guys have seen this. United are planning an interactive ticket-based system. I think this is right. That United are planning a virtual seat on the basis of a ticket. So you get a seat, but you're not there. So it's a virtual season ticket from a seat. And what they're planning is that they're going to give away a bunch of these seats. And what they're saying is in a couple of years' time, those people that pay for that season ticket from the virtual season ticket will outnumber the match-going fans. Now, I find that ridiculous. I will simply not buy any merchandise, period. That's part of my protest. I get all of my shirts. I get all of my shirts from a company not associated with the club. So I actually refuse. I refuse to buy anything from the club. Anything that I do get is from a third party. They don't get it from the club. I make sure of that. I don't. If you put a mannequin in the seat, would they still take it away? But I don't get that, right? I don't get it, because if you have a virtual seat and people are not go physically there, I don't quite understand it, because the atmosphere in there is going to be shit. And what are they going to do? Like have crowd noise that's fake? So I don't get it. I don't really get that. I don't really get or understand the point of virtual season ticket. I just don't. Simon says it could be mistaken for Harry Maguire. Maguire, bless him. I think that Maguire Do you think? Here's a question. Do you think Maguire? We should give him a contract. Duck Boy says, will Carrick be able to do a better job than Ten Hag? What do you think? I do think that Carrick will be able to do a better job than Ten Hag. With hindsight, Amorim, we will see what the future brings. But Ten Hag, when you look back on it, I was naive at the time. I said I didn't want Erik Ten Hag sacked. The reason why I didn't want Erik Ten Hag sacked was because, again, I didn't want to do the same thing. I've been the manager in, but when it comes to Ten Hag, I think Ten Hag was the wrong choice. I think between the Glazers, between Murta, Arnold, and Ten Hag, and then obviously INEOS as well, giving him a contract, I think that Ten Hag has been proven that he wasn't the guy. I think Ten Hag has been proven that he wasn't the guy. I think Carrick, even though I don't think Carrick is best in class, I don't. If Carrick wins all of the games, and we can talk about the fixtures as well, and you can give me your input on this. So Arsenal is the next game. I tell you what, if we can beat Arsenal, watch all the Arsenal fans chuck their toys out the pram. So realistically, we've got Fulham at home, we've got Tottenham at home, we've got West Ham away, Everton away, Crystal Palace at home, Newcastle away, Aston Villa at home. So we've got 2 home games. So we've got Arsenal away, then we've got Villa at Fulham at home, Spurs at home, West Ham away, Everton away, Palace at home. So we've got, other than the next 2 games after Arsenal, we're home away, home away, home away, basically home away until the end of the season. So outside of Spurs, Fulham at home, and then West Ham away, the Toffees away, we then literally got home away, home away, home away, home away, home away until the end of the season, where Brighton is the end of the season. What do we think? If Carrick can win all of those next games, so for me, the only way that I would consider Carrick as a coach is if he goes on a winning streak and he goes and literally gets us into the top 4. Henderson says he's not winning 17 games in a row, but if they perform at the same level Saturday, then Carrick has a strong case. But at what point do we base it? Do we base it on number of games won? I can't. Home and away back in the day, Simon, was quality. I remember watching home and away when I was about 6, 7. Look, home and away used to be closer each day. Home and away, it was. Let me be the one that you turn to, someone you can rely on. Closer each day, home and away. I used to watch that back in the day. Great Big Alf. Nobody messed with him. Bobby as well. His daughter. Pippa as well. She was the Pippa was the woman that adopted all them kids. Great times. Does anybody remember Sons and Daughters? So Sons and Daughters was the precursor to Home and Away. It was the Australian first soap. I'm part Aussie, but I can't stand that program. You're not going to ruin Arsenal. If we go on a good run, we definitely get top 4, even top 3. At this point, I'm not that old, JB. I am. I remember the Flying Doctors. Anybody remember that? Prisoner Cell Block H. It was like the Aussie invasion back in the day. Remember London? London's Burning was legendary. And on a Sunday night, right? On a Sunday night, Sons and Daughters. Sons and Daughters. Sons and daughters, love ever after, and tears, love and happiness. I think it was. For we all know the deal was already done for Tuchel or somebody else. I think so. The Flying Doctors was good. What was that? The police on Robson Jerome. I remember Soldier. We're not as old as the Coffin Dodgers. I remember Robson Jerome in Soldier. And then they sang that stupid fucking song, didn't they? That was in the charts for about 27 years. I think you're right, Henderson. I think you're right. Cell Block H was in the late 80s and 90s. No, yeah, I think Prisoner Cell Block H was... I think it was late 80s, yeah. Skippy. What about Round the Twist? Does anybody remember Round the Twist? The only Aussie program I watched is The Gold Hunter. Round the Twist was absolutely immense. I think Henderson's right, though. I think a deal has already been done. The only thing I don't understand with Tuchel is basically he's a manager. He's a manager, so I don't know with old Willie Wilcox can tell you lot are on your deathbed, you old fogies. Henderson, can you tell what Skippy is actually thinking? Skippy the bush kangaroo, absolute quality stuff. Yes, Scott, you know you're a whippersnapper, mate. You know. So I think a deal probably has been done. I don't think Tuchel will be a yes man. So I wonder, Round the Twist is Aussie's best yet? Absolutely. I do agree with that. So if it was late 80s, you wouldn't be allowed to watch it because it was on late night. I watched the reruns. Gladiators, some skinny guy against steroid freaks. 100%. 100%. The original Jet was my favourite. Jet and what's the other one called? Lightning Jet. I'm probably the youngest here in the chat. You are, Scott. You are, buddy. You are. Jet was amazing. She's apparently she's gay now, which is all good. You know, there's no issue with that. But I always think Paul Hogan was Tropic Thunder. Was it Tropic Thunder? No, it was Thunder in Paradise. Was Paul Hogan's. I think it was Thunder in Paradise. Indonus Samuel says, why can people give the Carrick a permanent job? Lightning and Jet, that's I bet you used to. Lightning and Jet. That's Takeshi's Castle, no. Crocodile Dundee, Paul Hogan. I thought you meant Hulk Hogan. Yeah, Paul Hogan was yeah. I was thinking of the one with Hulk Hogan in it. That was good as well. Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick at the moment. I was too young, or probably would have JB. I was too young. When the Gladiators first came on the scene, I think I was too young. Did you remember? Stay away from that trapdoor because there's something down there. Bert. I'm nearly twice as old as you, says Simon. For me, if Carrick qualifies for the Champions League, given the job, it's just a matter of trust. Indolo, the only problem with me for that is we've been here with Ollie. You know, I'd love Carrick. I would love Carrick to be the guy. I'd love Carrick to, you know, be the next coach for 25 years. I just don't see it. I just don't see it, mate. I want best in class, and is Carrick the best in class? You know, United Board doesn't trust Carrick, give him the job. I don't think it's a matter of trust. Bobby says I'm 42. I'm 42. I'm going to be 43 this year. So, yeah, we're the same age. I'm going to be 43 in May. So, nearly. I can't believe I'm in my 40s. I can't believe it. It's just gone so fast. It's just gone so quick. I genuinely can't believe I'm in my 40s. I don't know. Would I give Carrick the job? I don't know. The Crystal Maze sounds like a game for crackheads. Says, the Crystal Maze was amazing with O'Brien in it, and then you had some other weird guy as well. Someone says, I would love to see how the teams in the top 4 fare out in the next few games for thinking about the Champions Leagues. I'm 43 in May, says Bobby. Look, May is a fantastic month to be 43 in. Look, his results against City and Arsenal. Well, Indolo, mate, I don't think that you can judge. I don't think that you can judge based on 2 games. Not to bring people back down to earth, right? City was a great win, and I wanted that win. But City are going through a bad patch, not to bring people down. City's defence was crap, and then City lost to Bodo Glimt. So Ed Tudor Pole, yes, I'm 38 with the attitude of a 15-year-old. 37. Arsenal will be United will beat Arsenal on Saturday. If Arsenal play well, they will have a draw. I'm loving the enthusiasm. I'm liking it. Arsenal will be a different kettle of fish. Arsenal will be a different. They just absolutely will be. Poundland can't score for Toffee right now. 4 games. You lot probably watch EastEnders and Corrie. No, not for me. Wave Cutters in the house says sign Joachim Low. Well, so Vavell, it was revealed today. Vavell wants Nagelsmann. Indola says it's not a matter of 2 games. He doesn't become a great coach because Barcelona gave him a chance. Yeah, but Barcelona, if you look at the side that they had, we don't have that side. We don't have that side. Greta Thunberg once said, how dare you? Or George Jesus from Saudi. He'll be a different animal on the weekend. Look, Indolo, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree that should we give Carrick a chance. Arsenal is the best team in Europe at the moment, but Arsenal can't win. United, I worry. Arsenal have got, I think, a full strength team. Arsenal do bottle it though. I thought Jackie was in his 40s. I will be back in a second, guys. And he's back. Right. Let's catch up on some of these chats. Let's see where we are in the chats. Indo says, provide Carrick with the resources and he will deliver. Team would have won with Ollie in charge, exactly. But Indolo, the only thing I'm going to say on that, my friend, is you're saying if you give Carrick the resources, he will make the team good again. But the thing is, though, why didn't they do that with Amorim? That's my only thing here is, would you rather keep Carrick? So let's just say if Enrique was available, if Ancelotti was available. So my only thing, Indolo, is, and I'm not disagreeing with your opinion. I think that's a very, very valid opinion. The only comment I'm going to make on that then is what separates out Carrick from an Amorim. Now we all know that next season whoever comes in is going to have to work with Luke Shaw, going to have to come in and work with a Dalloz, going to have to come in and work with an Ugarte. It also depends on Casemiro, whether he gets a new contract, whether or not he goes. So that's the problem. So if they were going to provide Carrick with the resources, Carrick for me is not the best in class. So why would you not give Amorim? Why would you not give him what he needed? But you're not prepared to give a coach who's got Champions League experience, who won a league, and I know it's the Portuguese league, but that doesn't make sense to me. Seth said Arsenal is fact. Says Seth. I want Tuchel, but he's gonna work. He plays a back 3-2. He can adapt to a 4-2-3-1, a 4-3-3, and yes, football requires more signings, and owners are a joke. So sadly, it won't happen. I don't rate Zerbi. I'm not Zerbi's biggest fan. Simon says, if you watch EastEnders, then you would need a phone with the Samaritans after every episode because it's depressing. But I feel Zerbi could get the job, as he's the sort of person that kind of ask for big signings. This is the team. RM struggling to win Burnley, 10-man Everton, and Carrick took the same team with Thrash City. Yeah, but that's true. But Amorim beat City. City. Look, I'm just going to be honest about this. City had. City still got Haaland. City still got Cherky, Rodri, Foden, Semenyo, Doku. They've still got a good side, but City weren't City. Look, if they'd have gone to Bodo Glimt and smashed them, fair enough. Absolutely 100%. But they weren't. Look, Indolo, the previous half a season, and you're entitled to your view, right? So why didn't the players do it? I'm not fooled into these players. I still don't think these players are best in class. I really don't. I'm not fooled in terms of these players. I just don't think these players. Look, these players can turn it like. I wonder how long it's going to be until these players find it too hard again. Henderson says that's not enough. Simon, I used to watch EastEnders. I stopped after Gray abusing his wife. Anyone can beat City. Look at our past coaches; they all beat City, but it doesn't mean that they should get the job. They've had a rubbish defence as they've been full of injuries, and something weird is going on. It wasn't that they beat City; it was that they play like United. And look, that is a valid point. I wonder who's right and wrong. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer to this. We're going to see. We're going to see against Arsenal. So let's just say that we play Arsenal and we lose 4-0. Where are we then? And it's, I don't want that to happen. But then again, contrary to that, what happens if we then go and beat an Arsenal? So this is my question really, is if we beat Arsenal. So let's just say we beat Arsenal. We then go and lose to Fulham and Spurs. We beat West Ham, we beat Everton, then we lose to Palace, Newcastle, Aston Villa. This team is capable of any result. David says anyone involved in the class of 92 is toxic to the club. At times we need to move on. It was good, the tiki-taka against City. If Carrick can do every day consistently, I would hire him. I just don't trust the light switch on and off players. Agree. I think as we discussed in yesterday's show, is the problem with the class of 92. As much as they're legends and they won a treble, they won league after league. You cannot doubt their mentality. They are mentality monsters. I think there are fantastic players who were amazing players and servants of the club. The problem for me is that they are irrelevant. They're not current. The problem is that they're not current, and they think they are. When you spent so long getting praise, right? When you spent so long being told that you're the best, look at Scholes. Scholes, one of the best players, right? Nicky Butt was a decent player as well. And when you spend so long being told that you're great, football has moved on. These guys are a bit like Liverpool. So when Liverpool used to win league after league and they won the European Cup 4 times, you had like Souness, Alan Hansen, Ian Rush, King Kenny. Those guys, when they retired, they were so used to being, the sort of the epitome of players. People gave them their opinions. Alan Hansen, got the match of the day gig. People used to listen to him, but then they got older, and Souness now is just a rambling old man, a biased old man. And some of these players, they've now turned into those players. Now, where Henderson, I think you're right, and where I agree with you on this is they did have standards. They did drive the standard, and I get it. I on the subject of ex players, I think it depends on where you fall. I think of certainly of my age, and I was very, very fortunate, as of many of you were, that we saw that. I saw Nicky Butt come through. I saw the class of 92 come through. I was old enough to understand and know, and they did drive the standards. They did set standards, but it comes a time, and look, they have watched crap, but I think there comes a time whereby you've got to accept that the standards aren't there. Not for me, because I always demand we win a league. I always demand we go into the Champions League, that we win a cup, and those are the standards for me. Those are the standards. I would never accept this 15th place, this 5th place. We're not winning the league because of these players and because of these standards. But I just think that when you get to look, I can listen to Roy Keane, right? I can listen to Roy Keane. I do think he talks some good stuff. But when you've got Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes, talking in the way that they do, it's just uncomfortable. It's just uncomfortable. Let's look at the poll. The poll is so close. It really is. It really is close. I think it depends really on which side of the coin you fall down really. I think that Mark Hughes is a legend. I still think that Paul Parker's a legend. I still think that Schmeichel's a legend. But if you talk to people of a certain age now, they don't know who Schmeichel is. They don't know how good Erwin is. They don't know, Roy Keane. They just see Roy Keane, Roy Keane like a rambling old man. Henderson, says if you want to move forward, you can't look back, and their opinions are of the past. But being respectful, I just don't like the way that they communicate their opinions. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. But looks like a bowling pin, says Scott. Oh, Nicky Butt. I mean, I just think you make your own opinion up. Are these ex-players wrong? Have they said or done anything wrong? And my answer to that is no. They haven't. Nicky Butt didn't really say anything. That in terms of the wider world. It was his opinion, and I don't agree. I didn't agree with how it was said. Now, if he said something along the lines of, I think that that Martinez is gonna get, he's gonna have a tough day. Haaland, is gonna score a goal. He's gonna be stronger than him. I get that completely. Or if Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes were in a pub and didn't broadcast it, I think they would have been okay. But we live in a different world. We live in a different world. It's a different time. It's a completely different time. So, I think because they are yesteryear, you're going to get a lot of people that are a Martinez fan. Martinez is their hero. Can you imagine? Right? Imagine if they said something about Fernandes. You would get they would get cancelled. They would get absolutely cancelled because these players now, the current players, and that's the problem for me as well, is that these players, these kids who think that Bruno Fernandes is a legend, they think that these players are legendary. They've never seen legends. Henderson says, look at the response in terms of performance from Martinez. Martinez was fantastic. Did he use those comments as fuel? I don't know. A simple 4-4-2 has to be the best formation in the Prem now, isn't it? Now, football's changing. A lot of these players used to play this football. I think that we have gone full circle. I think a 4-4-2. I think a 4-4-2 or a hybrid 4-4-2 is back. I think United, just taking it back. I think teams that used to play a 4-4-2, I think will get some joy. I think Arsenal, when they used to play Henry, Bergkamp, Pires, Viltord, Petit, Vieira, I think that they would get a lot of joy. I really do. Henderson says, well, he did the hand gesture thing after the game. I think it's handbags at dawn. I like 4-4-2 was fun. I don't think it works anymore. And then back, then they played it a lot. I actually think a 4-4-2 with a decent spine now would work. I think if you've got that spine, so let's just say you've got a Roy Keane, you've got, I don't know who else would be in there. Say you've got, let's just say you had a Carrick, a Keane, Beckham, Giggsy. Then you could, maybe not two strikers, but maybe you play like a number, like a full striker. Maybe you play a striker, or you could switch between the two. Selwyn is in the house. Maximum respect, John Selwyn, absolute legend. I wonder why not used anymore. I just think with the invention of tiki taka. I think Pep had a hand in it. Legend. Brown Knight is in the house. I think it was the invention of tiki-taka football. I think it was the invention of tiki-taka. If you look at Chelsea side, but again, I think 4-3-3. If you look at Jurgen Klopp, if you look at Pep, those sides, they those points that they were getting. But then I look back to Chelsea when Chelsea, conceded. Was it John Terry? Conceded, was it Carvalho as well? Then they conceded, what was it, 8 or 9 goals in a season? So, I just wonder. And when you think about it now, the long throws have come back. Set pieces are important again. So I do think a 4-4-2, but a hybrid of a 4-4-2 definitely works. So you switch between a 4-3-3. Now a 4-3-2-1, a 4-4-2. I think that you can adapt. Carrick will be the cheapest option for INEOS, and they'll be happy to save a couple of £1,000,000. Yeah, I think any manager where they don't have to pay, and this is why I think a Glazer is a real option. I think a Glazer, I think a Tuchel is an option because he'll be out of contract and he'll be free. Zerbi, I wonder if they'd have to pay Zerbi. I don't know when his contract's up. United, to me, this summer are going to go for cheap and cheerful. That's where I think we are with that. I think they're going to go for cheap and cheerful. I don't think they've got any ambition. Mohammed says, would you take Loftus-Cheek or Ndidi? Mohammed, I just don't see how it drives the team. And what I mean by that is, I think we need bodies. And Ndidi plays for Besiktas. And Ndidi is not as old as you think he is. I think Ndidi is Ndidi is 29 years old. Ndidi, 29 years old. He's not going to be 30 until December. Ndidi is 29 years old. So he's not as old as you think he is. What has Zerbi done to deserve the job? I don't think Zerbi, for me, should get the job. I don't agree with it. Ndidi is older than P Diddy. So would I take Loftus-Cheek or Ndidi? I would take one of them for numbers. I think we need another midfield player, but as the show said, what are we? Are we mid-table FC? Beggars can't be choosers. I think either one will be a boost in our midfield, even though they're not as good as the type of midfield you want. Can still get Anderson in the summer. I just the thing is, Mohammed, for me, look, mate, and on here, look, I don't disrespect people's opinions. People have their opinions, right, Mohammed? But for me, that's Glazeronomics, mate. That's INEOS. People and outreach says mid-table team. Going for that sort of player is a mid-table team. It really is. Mohammed, we are. This fan base is so locked in on. We can't get a manager because nobody is available. We can't go get an Anderson now. We can't go get a a Steeler now. You know, we've got to take these players. And look, I'm not disrespecting the comment. I think it's a legitimate thing to say, but I don't buy into it. You know, we've been told, oh, we can't get these players now. I say, bollocks, we can't. I can't show my face at the moment, my friend. I'm up in that London today, so I'm doing the show from an office, not where there's people, but I've gone to like a little side room, so I can't show my face today simply because I just can't do it. But I will do a show tonight, and I will be back as normal tonight. But Mohammed, like, you know, I just don't prescribe to it. I don't buy into it. I don't buy into this fact that we can't get these players. The reason why we can't go and get a Belaber, the reason why we can't get an Anderson now, is because we're skint. You know, if you look at a Man City, I am moonlighting. I am 100%. You know, the reason why we can't do it is because we don't have the money. You know, outreach, you've got a good point. You know, why piss the money away just for a mid-table place? Save it for the summer. I just don't understand. You know, we need players. So this is where I this is where I fall on it. We need midfielders, right? We need players, right? But I don't want an Ndidi. I don't want a Loftus-Cheek. We need a Gomes. We need that sort of player. I mean, he's going to be 40 million. I'd rather spend that than 6 million quid on a loan. Ndidi, you know, are we going to buy him for cheap? Are we going to loan that player out? Would you rather that or no midfielder in Jan would help us push for top 5? I don't see these big. And I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing at all. The big players won't come. Well, we won't even try. The problem is, I don't think Ndidi pushes us to top 5. I don't think Ndidi pushes us to top 5. I don't think Loftus-Cheek pushes us to a top 5. And I don't disagree that we need players, but we need players that are going to move the conversation on. We need players that are better. I don't think Ndidi is better than Ugarte. I don't. Loftus-Cheek, where the fuck's he going to play? You know, you've got Mainu in that position. You've got Fernandes that can play in that position. Why, you know, Loftus-Cheek is a centre midfielder stroke number 10. You know, we don't need those sorts of players. And Ndidi, you know, is he better than a Casemiro? Right now, I don't think he is. As much as I agree, and I've said it on the show so many times, that we need bodies, we need players, but we need to sign the best that we can. We need to sign better than what we've got, and we don't have the money. And it's as simple as that. We made a £33 million loss in the summer. We have now made another £13 million loss. So we've lost, 50 million. We've had to go and pay Amarin has been paid off. His coaches have been paid off as well. So let's just say that's between 10 to 15 million. So we've basically lost, in the last 6 months, we've lost 65 million. It's ludicrous. But Mohammed, I don't disagree with you, but I don't think, for me, that a Loftus-Cheek, I don't think an Ndidi pushes us to a top 5. I just don't. I might be proved wrong. But we need to go and get players who are going to be better than what we've got, and I don't even think that these players will necessarily play. I think these are a Weghorst signing. I think this is an Igalo signing. I think this is a Zabitzer signing. I think this is a Amrabat signing. It's these signings to basically placate us. It's these signings that are meant to just shut us up. And I don't agree with it. You know, we've got 10 days to get this done. The best way to describe it for me is it's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. You know, City need players. They've gone and got a Guehi. They went and got Semenyo. Mohammed says, could have said that same about Madueke, who wasn't great at Chelsea but doing well at Arsenal. Madueke, I think he's fallen off at Arsenal. I don't think he's that great, but Madueke, I think, is a better player than a Loftus-Cheek. But look, Mohammed, you are making some good points. I would rather a player like a Trossard for an Arsenal. I would rather go and get. Just trying to think of some midfielders. I'd rather go and get loan midfielders from the Premier League. I'd rather go and get loan midfielders from. He's definitely strengthened them. Madueke's. I'm not disagreeing that a Madueke is a good player. He just couldn't get time at an Arsenal. At Chelsea. He's definitely strengthened them. Outreach says we need players to improve our first 11 rather than a bench warmer. And Outreach, I think what we should be doing here is I think we should be building a squad. I think you're right. I think we should be building a bunch of squad players. And when I say squad players, I'm not talking about players like that. And we need a foundation, right? We definitely need players to improve the first 11. But beyond that, I think we need squad players who can push the squad. And when I say squad players, I don't mean just squad players who are just shit. I mean squad players who are going to push first teamers. You know, somebody like a Gallagher. I know he's probably not, you know, the sort of star signing that people want to, but I would rather sign him. You know, he to me is one of those players that, yes, you know, he's not the most amazing player, but I think he could come out and he could more than do a job. And I do agree that we need to replace a like for like. I don't disagree with that, but we also need to. So give you an example, right? You know, Ugarte, right? Ugarte for me is one of those players that should be a very good squad player that you bring on, and at times, you know, I'll give you some examples. Park, right? Park Sun-ji, right? Wasn't a starter, never really started, but when he was called upon, what a fantastic player. John O'Shea, Nicky Butt even, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. These are the sorts of players that will do a job for the team. You know, I want those sorts of players who can come in and go on a run of games. You know, those players that you could trust. We would 100% need. We would 100% need first teamers, but I also Fletcher exactly. Those are the players that I think we also need. I think if we focus too much on the 11 players, which we have to, because I think at the moment, I think Shesko falls into the category of that. I think Shesko falls into a category of potentially a starter, but Neville, and those are the players that I think that we need. You know, you had, I think, Hennenberg, Those sorts of players, like a Hennenberg, a David May, all those sorts of players that will sit on a bench. They are good players, but that's what I think we need as well, and I think we need to build that out. Squad players who are consistent and therefore performance. Yeah, agreed. Amrin was building a squad, then you sacked him. Higher ups never learned at United, and I don't. Yes. Amrin never got a fair crack of the whip. There are so many opinions on that. I didn't want to sack him. I thought he was we should get his players. He never did. And look, Amrin's gone. Amrin is part of the past. Amrin is going to be part of that conversation. That was the past. I think we failed another manager. We've failed players consistently. But what are we going to do? Like the question is now, what are we going to do? How are we going to move the conversation forward? How are we going to make this better with players? And I think that we are going to announce a deal at the back end of the season. I think we're going to announce it. Dino is in the house. I think we're going to announce this new signing at the end of the window, because I think the backlash is going to be is not going to be great. Apparently, some news just in as well that I think that De Ligt is going to be out a little bit more time as well. Dino says we need players that, when called upon, can perform and fix a problem. That the upper ups are deluded. United squad is a top 8 squad and not a top 4. And I've said all season, I keep saying this, I think that we will finish ultimately in the top, somewhere between 8 and 10. I am starting to think that potentially, I think we now can finish between 6th and 8. I don't think we'll go as low as 10. I just don't think that we will. I think this is ridiculously competitive. But the whole season up until now, I've said I think we'll finish between 8 and 10. My mind has been changed slightly, not because we beat City. My mind's been changed slightly because I think we've gone back to a 4-3-3. A 4-1-1. Scott has said, I've always said a top 5. My mind has been changed because I think that Carrick is going to play a system that suits these players. I've always said this: for Amrin to survive, I thought that Amrin needed to play these players at their own game and go back to what these players know. Outreach says that's really ambitious. Like I said, Outreach, I've always said I think we finished somewhere between 8th and 10th. The reason why I've changed my mind between 6 to 8, 6 and 9 is because I think the league this season is ridiculously competitive. I think that, do we have the squad? I think we do have the squad. But I don't know. Am I thinking, am I hoping? But I have said all season that I think we finish between 8 and 10. But if we beat Arsenal and then we win the next 2 games after that, the next 2 home games, then I think I might have to change my opinion. But I don't know. I just don't know. I think we need Champions League football. We are sitting in 5th, but I just, when are we going to implode? If we implode, it could be horrific. Makey says, I think we finished between 11th and 15. Kieran says, as a fan of football as well as United, would you like more level playing field? Read the financial rules and regs, keep in other clubs for competing on a level playing field. I will come back to that. They can't announce Tuchel until the end of the season. He's a job to do in the summer. I don't disagree with that. Dino says, between 6th and 8th at the moment, I haven't changed my mind yet. Carrick has had one game. We need to see the run of games before the league position can be judged. I think you're spot on, Dino, as well. As a fan of football, do I think there needs to be a level playing field out all the financial rules and regs keeping other clubs from competing on a playing field? Kieran, I think that's a very, very intelligent, I think that's a very, very interesting debate to have. It's an interesting one, Kieran. I would like to see. I would like to see more seasons that a Leicester can win the Premier League. Now, I would like to see, like conceptually, Kieran, I think I would like to see more of a fairer league. I think that at the moment, I think probably this league this season is very, very competitive. I think the gap is slightly closing. Will never close between the top 3, top 4 teams compared to the teams that have been, that have come up. I think, Kieran, where I'd like to see the changes made first of all are, how do you make the relegation more competitive? These teams that come up, how do they get given a chance? I think that's where I would like to see that first of all, and then I think it is a wider debate. I think it is a wider debate. How would you make that happen? The problem is that it's never going to happen. I as a Villa fan, Aston Villa, right? They were in the Champions League. They were forced to sell players, and yet Emery's done a fantastic job with a squad. It's a good squad, but you need more players, right? I don't think it's fair that you've got the likes of Aston Villa, who were in the Champions League, that were made to sell players to survive and to conform with a PSR, but now PSR has gone. You've got the squad cap rules. I think the first instance for me is, how do you get the teams that come up? How do you get them more competitive? I think first, but conceptually, I don't have a problem with trying to make teams more competitive. Henderson says there's a good chance of a manager scramble this year. Liverpool and City will be looking for managers soon. The way the seasons have been going, I think Alonso is nailed on for Liverpool. Scott says, because I expect us to get top 3 or 4, even win the title, even though we're far. And I'm with you, Scott. I say this pretty much every stream. I demand us to win the Premier League every season. I demand us to be in the Champions League, not because I'm stupid, just because you're going to have those standards. Kieran says, I say this as a Villa fan. Yep. Kieran says that's not going to finish as strong. JB, regardless of the current league position, we are in where does this team rank with all 20 teams? Are we talking about United? Yeah. JB, regardless of current league position, where are we in? Does this team rank with all the 20 teams? And that's it. I think that we are in the category of the best of the rest. when you look at the league table, let's have a little look at the league table. League table is, Liverpool 36, United on 35, Chelsea on 34, Brentford on 33, Newcastle on 33, Sunderland on 33, Everton 32, Fulham 31, Brighton 30, Crystal Palace 28, Tottenham 27, Bournemouth 27, Leeds 5. I think at the moment, I probably think from Brighton upwards, who are on 30, I think Crystal Palace are a little bit adrift. Where do I think we rank Liverpool, Chelsea, Brentford, Newcastle, Sunderland, Everton, Fulham, Brighton? I genuinely think that we should be, and I think we are probably one of the best of the rest, but only because this season I think is very, very competitive. There are between, let's do a cut-off of the top 10. There literally is only 4 points in it. Everton are 32. All it's going to take for them is to win another game. We'll just be above them because of the amount of goals we scored. I think where we are this season, I think whoever can put a run of games together, I think will finish in the top 3, 4, 5. Aston Villa, for me, I really, really want them to do well. I think they might have a bit of a dip. I think Aston Villa could be dragged down into that 4th, 5th, 6th. I don't think they'll go as far as 6th or 5th. I think they could be dragged into 3. They could be dragged into 4 or 5. I don't think they'll go down as low as 5. I think if United, Liverpool can get their acts together, Chelsea can get their acts together, I think that they could be pushing for top 3. I still don't think that we're a top 3 team, but whoever puts a run of games together, I think that will be the team that will finish in the top 4 and 5 this season. Now, where would I put us? I put us in that top 10. I think there are 10, 11 teams who are so close, and until somebody can make strides to get some consistency, it's difficult. It's difficult this season. It is. So look what I'm saying. 7th, 8th says Dino. It's pretty tight in the middle. The league is really open this year. Villa's lack of signings will hurt them. It's there for the taking. And Henderson, it is. Mate, the most frustrating thing this season for me is that it's there. It is there for the taking. And this is what annoys me. The lack of ambition from this club. The lack of ambition. If United can finish in the top 3, 4, 5, and that is where they stay, you can't argue with that, right? But is it luck? Is it luck? Is it the fact that we got better this season? And that, for me, is the question. If we'd have been playing like we did last season, if we were playing this season, and we were in the league last season, would we still be in the same position? Let's see what you guys are saying. Let's see what you guys are saying. It's there for the take. No, it really is. Dina says 2 new faces in this team would get us over the line. I think a Guehi would get us over the line. A Gomes would get us over the line. I think Neves as well, as much as people don't think that that's an inspired signing, I think somebody like that. I think we need 2. I think if we had a more, I think a midfielder, Also as well, Delict is out as well for more games. I think Dino is right. I think 2 more faces. I think 2 more of the right faces. They don't have to be expensive. Like a Tony was there. I just think a Neves, as much as I don't think that necessarily is a super inspired signing, I think that he could be one of a good choice. And then you go and get maybe a striker. I do think that Šeško needs a little bit of help. And then I think that could push us over the line. Big question, will top 4 come down to the final day of the season? I think it could do, Dino. I think it could do. I think we could get a situation whereby we've got 7 or 8 teams fighting for that 4th. This, I tell you what the season reminds me of. This season reminds me of the Championship. Because if you look at the Championship, typically the Championship around about this point has about 7 or 8 teams that are in and around that top 8, right? And I'm going to have a look now. And if you look at the Championship, right, you've got Middlesbrough 49, Hull on 47, Millwall on 46, Preston on 43, Stoke on 41, Watford 41, Wrexham 41, Derby 41, Bristol 41, QPR 40. There's only 9 points separating 3rd and 12th. And to bear in mind, they play a 46-game season. So this season reminds me very much of a typical Champions, a typical Championship season. I think it's going to go down to the wire. I think there's going to be 6 teams. So what I mean by that is there's going to be, I think, from 4th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there could be 6 teams. I think they could be 6 teams fighting for 4th. So Henderson says, so what you're saying is the Premier League playoff for 5th Champions League spot. What I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that there should be a playoff. I'm saying that this season reminds me of that. I'm not saying that we should have a playoff for 5th place. Even though, Henderson, I think that would be an interesting one, actually. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that this season just reminds me of a Championship season whereby you've got 8 teams or 6 teams fighting for 5th. We need depth, maybe not superstar status, but a solid impact player who can change the game for us. Yeah, no, I agree. That is what I think. But Henderson, though, I actually like that. I actually quite like that idea. I do like a Premier League playoff for 5th. So you've got the team that the team that say finishes between 5th and say 8th. I don't know how the fuck that would work, but yeah. So look, guys, I am going to go. I do have to do a little bit of work this afternoon, but look, fantastic show again. I think in terms of as a compromise show, I think this show works really well. I think it works a decent show. Really enjoyed the show today. I think, again, you guys make some fantastic points. A massive thank you to you guys for coming on to the stream. Yes, I will do a show tonight. I will be back and I'll do a normal show tonight when I get back from up that London. I'm not sure what time will be. It'd probably be around the same time tonight. If there's not a show tonight, I will let you guys know. Of course, I will do. But look, interesting show tonight, today. I mean, this is more of a podcast show. This is more of a like a live podcasty show, which I don't know. I might do like a podcast show as well. Just to add some spice to it. But guys, intelligent conversation today. I think you guys make some cracking points as always. You guys are fantastic in the chat. Scott to do a show with you, JB. Look, if Scott wants to do a show, if Scott wants to do maybe Arsenal, I think we could do an Arsenal show. Like if anybody wants to do, we could do a sort of like a pre-match show. We could do like a show whereby we talk about the Arsenal game. I would like to do that at some point. We could do it Saturday. We could do like a panel show. I would like to get at least another 3 people on there, so we could do like a proper panel show. I don't know how that would go, but yeah, I would be open to do that. I think it's important. What time is the kickoff on the weekend? I think it's Sunday, 12:30. I think it's 12:30. Dino. It's a Dino's game as well. It's quite easy to do. I think now. The game is 12:30 on Sunday. No, I'm lying. It is 4:30. It is 4:30 on Sunday. So that will be a good game, and I think that's a decent time. Invite Scholesy and well, I tells you what, right? I have asked people to come on to the show. I've invited a couple of people, but nobody seems to want to come on the show. I sent a message to Indicator, just because I think it's interesting. I would like to get them on to the show because I think it would be interesting to sort of get just to basically get them on to a show to commit, right? But Indicator came back to me, and they basically said, if you pay us, they will then they'll give me a shout out on X. But I'll give them I'll give some more people a call, because I would like to get people like that onto the show. So this guy says, me and Dino and JB Sunday. Then yeah, I will set that up, and I'll send you guys an invite. And yeah, let's plan to do that. Let's plan to do that on Sunday. Yeah, let's plan to do that. And obviously we'll do it. We won't do it on a shorts feed. We'll do it on a proper show. So let me set that up. I'll send you an invite, and we can have a good old chat before the game. So look, guys, I should be back this evening. If I'm stuck in any way, shape or form, I will let you guys know. Look, thank you so much for being here, guys. Absolute legends of the show. The show gets better and better every stream. Amazing, guys. Amazing. Look, I will be back this afternoon. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, even wherever you are. I'm JB. This is the United Devil channel, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.